Hey, storytelling Ron. So I was at church last night. We were doing prayer. Just spent an hour and a half praying about missionaries and where they are in the world and what they're doing and praying for them. What is it that we as Christians want for the world? We want obviously our the faith of Christ, the salvation of Christ in the world. But what does that mean? What does it mean to have a church in your community? A church in your community is a place, a refuge, a bastion from the tyranny, the oppression. Can the church become corrupt or sexually deviant? Yes. We are all sinners. But the Christian understanding is that if we're all sinners, then no one should be given too much power and no one should be fully trusted. And no one should be given the power to be a god over others and to control others. And the church reminds not only its members and the pastor and the members check the pastor and the elders check each other, but we also check government. Without the church, there's no checking going on. There's no moral checking. There's no being careful and cautious with each other. There is an inevitable pursuit of tyranny, an inevitable pursuit of tyranny, of enslaving others, of stealing and taking from others. The Ten Commandments are about individual rights. Six of those. The four are about God and how we worship Him. But in doing that, this honoring the Sabbath, don't blaspheme, no, do not worship idols and things like that. Those four about God are really about us how we treat each other as well. Not forcing us to work 7 days a week, not continually insulting or attacking each other, mocking and scoffing. The four how we treat God is also inevitably how we will treat each other. The other six, then two of them are about family, father and mother, and not committing adultery, and that's a wonderful, beautiful thing. Then the other four are about individual rights, not stealing from others, not murdering others, not coveting and taking other people's property and their families and controlling them, and not bearing false witness to destroy people's lives, like falsely accusing them of murder, falsely accusing them of being fascist or whatever. These are just basic tenets of life that, in trying to treat each other with dignity. And when people have individual rights, they have a freedom amongst each other and an equality. And without the church, this goes away. And this is the point I'm trying to make, and I'm trying to learn for myself, that we have to bring the church back, and we have to bring it back strong. And I love that my pastor said that we were going through this, and he said we really do have to be political, because it's the governments that are really controlling and destroying and allowing oppression. And we see that here in America. I've been seeing recently all the Dearborn, Michigan, the Muslims there, and in red and in blue cities, the law enforcement and the mayors are allowing Antifa and Islamo-Marxists to run roughshod over everybody and their rights, and not enforcing the laws, which are enforcing our rights to not be beaten or terrorized or yelled at, to the point that we don't have our freedom of speech and our freedom of religion. And these things are happening in blue cities because the morality is dying. There's no churches there. And I'm also kind of upset. We know what wicked are going to do. Wicked are going to do what wicked does. But what are the good going to do? That's the question. And that the good is the church. And I'm a little perturbed that the church is not organizing protests. And the reason the churches are not organizing protests, and here's the real reason, is that the state runs the churches. There's no separation of church and state here. Every church is living in fear of the nonprofit thing, and so they don't want to do the politics, even though mosques and the Democrat-run churches will constantly do politics. The true churches, the conservative, the biblical, won't do politics because of their fear of losing the tax status. Why are we in fear of the government now? We need to be strong and come out and pray out loud about governance and rebuke government that does this in the blue cities. So the churches need to wake up. I want to go to this. This is the oppression in the world. This is Islamo-Marxism. All of this, and this is Christian, but the Muslims are coming in and taking this over. Obviously, Muslims are taking over Europe now, and Christianity there is dying. They're closing the Christmas markets in Germany because of Islam. In the UK, you're losing freedom of speech because of Islam. We can't criticize it. You know, they use the word Islamophobic, which is a ridiculous word. It's a tool of the left of Islamo-Marxists to shut us up, just as, you know, calling us white supremacists, calling us homophobe. The word phobe is the way that just adding on. There's no Christian phobe, right? Christian. I don't even know the word. Christianophobe, because they don't want you to. They want you to attack Christianity. They want you to attack Jesus Christ. They don't want to silence you. They only want to silence you by saying homophobe and Islam. Oh, you're an Islamophobe, so I can't criticize or warn about jihad, the jiza tax, taqiyya, the tenets. Taqiyya is the tenet of Islam to lie until you destroy the others. Lie in a position of weakness. Pretend peace. Pretend friendliness. Pretend shalom until you can get strong enough to destroy. That's the taqiyya. That's a tenet of Islam. And jiza is the tax. Jiyza, something like that. Taxing and oppressing all non-believers of Islam if you don't kill them, which is jihad. Jihad, kill the unbeliever. Anyway, this is the Islamo-Marxism is taking over and persecuting, and the first thing they're persecuting is the church and Christians. And here's the funny thing: there are Christians all throughout here, and Christianity, remember, comes from the Middle East. It doesn't come from white supremacist Europe. The white supremacists have taken a brown Arabic Semitic Christian religion called Christianity. So for them to say that it's a white supremacist religion is hilarious. And China says they don't want to be Christian because of because it's European or white, but they take Marxism, which actually comes from a white area, which is Russia, and a Jew, a secular atheist Jew. So that's hilarious and pathetic. But communism is coming in and persecuting. Islam is persecuting these areas, and Islam is coming down through Africa and persecuting, and Islam is persecuting everywhere. There's no freedom in Islam. And why are we accepting Islam here in America? It's because of the Marxists. The Marxists are using Islam as their militia. But the hilarious thing is, these two hate each other in the end. But they're joining together because they hate Jesus Christ even more. But I just want to go through this book. This is the Voice of the Martyrs, and they come out with this every year, and they're asking us to pray. And I just want to go through just a couple of ones here. India. I'm just going to go through like random ones in this book. India, restricted. Okay, so that's mild. But remember, India had was occupied by Britain, which is, you know, for 100 years or whatever the length was, a couple 100 years. But they helped them establish a democracy. They got them to stop things like killing their wives when their husbands were in a funeral. If the husband died, they would burn the wife with the husband on the funeral pyre. So Britain, the Christians, got them to stop that. And also, I've read that Indians even said they admitted that when Britain colonials came in, they helped stop the Islamic invasion of India and actually rescued the Hindu culture, the religion or whatever, the pagan Hindu religion, from the onslaught of the Islamic Caliphate that was coming down from the north. And I read some tales about that the British totally stopped the terror of Islam back in the colonial days. And they did it by going after the imams. They just went after them, started executing them. And then what do you know? Terrorism stopped. Because it comes from the mosques. It's organized there. And when people today in the UK and stuff complain about Islam, here's the problem. The Muslims all get organized at the mosque to do this stuff. The British, they don't go to church. So they don't even have organizations. They have, vague organizations, but they don't have actual organized church helping them. And the church there is incredibly weak and faltering. So India, major religions. About 80% of India is Hindus. More than 10% are Muslims. So where are the Christians? The Indian government does not release accurate statistics about its Christian population. While there are an estimated 30 to 70 million Christians in India, there is no more than a 5% minority among India's staggering population of nearly 1.4 billion. So obviously 30 to 70 million Christians are there. And I even saw like this huge church thing. Um, the main persecutions are well-organized Hindu extremist groups, local government and nationalist Hindus who seek to purify India by making it entirely Hindu. They seek to appease Hindu deities by eliminating Christians, and they view Christian converts as traitors to the Hindu homeland. And the reason is because we convert the outcasts. They have a caste system, and the lowest majority of it is slaves. So why are we even allowing Hinduism here in America when they have a caste system and they pretend they don't, but they do, and they have a slave? It's a slave system, and the reason they really hate Christians is because we convert the slaves to freedom. Um, so let me just move on to something else. And I think Hinduism should be illegal. Nigeria, designation, hostile. Okay, well, we've heard about Nigeria. 51% of Nigerians are Christians, but they're getting attacked over and over. Terrorism is the norm. The nation is divided between Christian and Sunni Muslims, with most Christians in the south and most Muslims in the north. And the Sunni Muslims are getting sponsored by and financed for their weaponry by Saudi Arabia or the Middle East, and even by China. China doesn't mind using Muslims across the world to weaken Christianity, so that they can come in with the vacuum and take over, and then I don't know, they fight each other. Persecuted: the Boko Haram Islamic extremist group and militant Fulani Muslims both attack Christians throughout the northern Nigeria, and they go into the south as well. I'm just going to do a couple more. I'm not really going to go that far. Sudan, restricted. Major religions. 90% of Sudanese people are Sunni Muslims. 5% are Christians. The Sudanese government has intimidated, arrested, imprisoned, and tortured Christians. What it means to follow Christ in Sudan. In times of peace, Sudanese Christians have been able to attend church openly, but Christian leaders are detained and sometimes imprisoned if their activities are viewed as threatening Islam. Most Christians who have not fled the current violence must meet underground in small groups. This is throughout the world, and this is even mild compared. Let me look for a Ethiopia, hostile. 59% of Ethiopians are Christians. Islam is growing, and Muslims now compose nearly 40% of the population, and that's happening even in Christian, Western Christian countries. We're allowing them to get to 10%, to 12%, to 50%, and the Democrats and the left are totally for this. They want Islam in to ruin Christianity and Jesus Christ. They hate Christianity. You know what? I'm a Calvinist. God wrote them that way. God wrote them to be wicked. That's not the question. I don't care about that. I don't care if people think that's unfair. I don't care. What I care is what then do the good do. So if you don't think you're wicked, if you think that's unfair, then accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Otherwise, go to hell. I mean, literally, symbolically, figuratively, go to hell. Because you're going to constantly vote for wickedness, for Islam, for child sacrifice of abortions. So I don't care. So I'm not that great of a Christian. But my hope is that you really are lost and you can be saved, and I can convince you otherwise. But I'm kind of a harsh and don't have the love in me that I should have. Believers in the South and East face persecution, especially those who leave Islam to follow Christ. Some believers living in the North are persecuted by militants among the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, and armed rebel groups attack Christians and churches. So there are some Orthodox are also against the evangelicals, which is a bummer. But nothing compared to what Islam does to you. If a Christian leaves Christianity and becomes a Jew or a Muslim, what do we Christians do? We pray for them. If a Muslim leaves Islam and goes to Christianity, what happens? They're threatened. They're going to be attacked. They have to go in hiding. And Israel is in here, by the way, and Israel is terrible. Israel is terrible for Christians. So I'm kind of annoyed. Why are we supporting Israel if they're going to be, there may be 2% of Christianity in Israel. Why is that? Why is it so low? That's kind of frustrating. But the two major religions of Israel is Judaism and Sunni Islam, with Christianity composing only 2%. In the Muslim regions, Christians convert from Islam face severe persecution from their families, society, Palestinian government authorities, and Hamas. In Jewish communities, Jews who follow Christ risk rejection, social pressures, and occasional violence from the ultra-Orthodox Jews and organized anti-missionary groups. That is just hilarious. Israel would not exist without Christian support. And then here they are biting the hand that feeds them. So I am a little frustrated with Israel. So why are we... I do like that Israel is there and exists and is up against the Jews or the Muslims, because otherwise, if Islam ruled Israel in the Jewish homeland, they would then immediately come even more after Europe. I mean, they're already coming after Europe, and they're already financing all of this stuff in Europe, all the stuff in America. All these mosques are being financed by the oil money. And churches need to wake up. Churches need to be... I'm a little annoyed because I see these videos of Americans protesting the Islamification of America, but it should be churches doing that. Churches should be out there organized protesting and be the face of this protest. And that's frustrating to me that we don't have church doing this here in America. The Voice of the Martyrs is I don't know exactly how they're being sponsored, but boy, they really do a great job of these books and of research and of giving information. I would highly recommend going to the Voice of the Martyrs. I don't know what the website on here, vom.org, and they just know what's going on across the world. They're on top of this. They're asked for prayers. It's really frustrating to know that you want to follow Christ and you just can't in all these nations, at least not peacefully. It's just it's just daunting to read this and to read the type of oppression that's going on across the world, just because you want to follow Christ. And in following Christ, you want to be honest, you want to be fair, you want to have wisdom and have justice for everyone. You want to treat people with dignity. And obviously that's not what evil wants. That's not what man wants. Man wants slavery. He wants persecution. He wants control over you. He wants to be the God. And he doesn't want you to remind him that there is God. So the solution is to get back to church. We got to organize and build our churches. I mean, right now I'm at a church where we're trying to build. I got this something fun here I got going on here. I made these fun little bookmarks. Let me go back to the thing just to show you. For our church, I know it's silly, but we're kind of going around the streets and handing things out. So I'm like handing out these little cool bookmarks, and family. I'm just trying to figure out ways to appeal to people here, young people here around Hollywood, with something simple and a cool bookmark, because we have some like pamphlets, but they feel very old and dated and kind of too wordy. I want something simple, like, it just kind of explains like, hey, this is what we do, and we just kind of hang out and do Bible study, we do music, we do fellowship. And the reason I do this is because I want us to grow our church first, to then start breaking out, who wants to do what, as far as like, I want a political group, I want a Bible study group, I want a fun ukulele group, I want, whatever someone wants to do, we sort of work that out. But there's also fellowship where we make sure that we're all, doing it for the Lord, and we have the right beliefs in the Word. But these are fun little things, and I used AI to help me do the graphics, because I can't do graphics. So I got AI to do it, and I had to cut and paste it all together. But I had AI do the graphics for me, because I'm poor like that, and so that's pretty cool. Using a demon to help me, using AI. Okay, so that's you got to spend more time at church, helping to build your church, helping to build up your pastor, getting him to this is our church. Our church is broke, and yet still sponsors missionaries into some of these countries. we're broke. Our church, it's small. We have like 30 to 40 members maybe, and we're stuck in Hollywood, in the middle of Hollywood, and that's it. Um, and I'm joyful. I'm joyful because I want to help them, and build up the church and hang out with people who do not want to push other things like LGBT or human sacrifice on me. I just don't want to be around people that want to push that, and because I'm going to remind them that it's a sin. And you should have your children around people that are good. And there's a struggle in church. We're all sinners. We're still all sinners. Sexual whatever is a problem as well. We're all sinners, but in the church, it's bad. It's wrong, and we must expose it or keep each other in check. That's what the church is for. That's why we need that as a Christian. We don't need to go it alone. We don't need to do our own ministries. We need to do whatever we want to do through our church. And I still have this on my mind. I haven't gotten a group together yet. Our church is so small, and none of them really know RPGs. But at some point, I do want to sit it down and get some of the people together who look like they could get it. But I'm just kind of acclimating myself to the church right now. This is just kind of the thing I was doing, and want to try it out. And twice now I've gone on the streets to hand out our little old pamphlets, and do you see my pastor get no's, and I got 10 rejections. I walked by the Jimmy Kimmel studios, where they film in Hollywood Boulevard, and there was 5 like security guys there, and I said, ooh, I want to get 5 rejections in a try. So I got 5 rejections in one try. Although one was a Christian. He's like, oh, I'm a Christian, thanks, man. But they're like, no, thank you. But they were polite. But they were standing outside the Jimmy Kimmel studios. But I said, you guys do Jesus? Yeah. And I'm like, and then I turned to my pastor, and then the other young lady that was with us, I said, I got 5 rejections. So that was our score. Who got the most rejections? So you just gotta kind of make light of it and kind of practice. It's practice. It's work. It's not work. It's practice. I make fun of it because what else can you do? And I even got weirdo stuff kind of happened as well, but I don't care. At this point, I see the Muslims, more burqas here in Hollywood. So what are you doing about it? In your community, you see oppression in your community, or you see what's going on in the news. What church are you supporting to fight this? Because it's through the church that it's going to be that we're going to have to. The only way we're going to effectively fight this. It's not through starting a little group or a little Zoom talk. That's what the pagans do. They love their government. They worship it. They do their Zoom talks. They do their nonprofits, and they steal the money from the taxes. They do their corruption. They do that because that's what they are. That's how they're coded by God. They're going to be wicked. They're going to pursue wickedness. What are you and me doing? Build your church up, and maybe you don't want to go out and go after these people. That's fine. Go to your church, stay at your church, make it a comfortable place, make it a welcoming place, so that you can build up the youth who then go out and do that. You need to be you as and me as an old people need to build up the church so that the youth will come in and make it a place for the youth. And one way is to start up my role playing game if you want to do that, or whatever. I don't know, do a musical group or do whatever. Do an open mic group. Do a writing workshop group where you get the youth in there and the young bloods who want to go out and fight this for the future of their communities. All right, in the game of life, we got an adventure, a real adventure. This is a real adventure. I'm going out there fighting kobolds and goblins right now on the streets, and and it's a real adventure. And we got our little adventure party at the church. It's a oddball adventure party, but that's the perfect kind. Oh, it's an adventure, man. So get to it. Church. All right. Game of life, everybody. Roll holy dice.